There are people who genuinely need a handout either at a certain point in their life where they are struggling, they are going through it, there's some sort of trauma that has struck or something of that nature, right? Big loss. And so they need the assistance of those around them. Then there are those who may have been born with genuine disabilities. I'm not talking about the self-imposed disabilities such as obesity, etc., right? These lifestyle choices that are being made that then lead to your inability to be as effective as you can be. There are individuals who genuinely need our help, and to those people I say, you know what? By golly, let's help in the best way that we can. So long as I can take care of my household, I'm going to do the best that I can for your household. But then there are those individuals who take advantage of the system, those who believe that they are entitled to your money and my money. And some of them are in your damn family and in my damn family, right? There are the individuals that we called best friends, that we call kinfolk. These are the ones that we call peers, colleagues, etc. For some reason, well, they might not be your colleague necessarily, because many of them don't want to work to begin with. They would rather live off of handouts. And this is what's gotten me throughout, my maturation process, or at least me getting older. I've become less of this kind of quasi sympathetic, feeling bad for every damn body, having that people pleaser sort of energy, to get into a place where I say, you know what, to hell with folks who are taking advantage of the system in such a way. They are the reason why the people who may actually need it end up not getting what they actually need, right? When there are more people leeching off of the system who are able-bodied and able-minded, who have the ability to do for self, but instead they feel that they are entitled to what is yours, that's where the problem lays. And that's why I say no more handouts. We need to cut it out, folks. When you travel a little bit, you start to see that your own little limited perception is exactly that. It is limited and therefore warped. You think that the rest of the world functions exactly as you do, right? For example, if you were to go to a country, let's say such as Belgium, and you were to look at the healthcare system, etc., some people say, well, they have amazing healthcare and, because they're socialist, blah, blah, blah. That's actually not the truth, right? That's not the entire case. They do have a great healthcare system, but when you start to look at first the tax system, you might second guess just how good you want your healthcare system to be once you start seeing those taxes. But beyond that, you can say, okay, how do you actually get these benefits? If you're somebody who is looking to get onto, the welfare system, if you're looking to get on a disability, whatever it is, and my girl has worked in the space, so I get a little bit of insight on these things. Not an expert, but just enough to be dangerous. So when you start to look at the requirements that an individual needs to get certain benefits, you have to qualify in a multitude of categories in order for you to get whatever compensation, you feel that you are rightfully due through your government. It means you have to have worked certain years for a certain amount of time, contributed a certain amount of money to the system, etc. You can't be born into welfare and just continue the system unless you are playing the loophole, unless you are cheating and gaming the system, right? Because the system is made for those who are unable to take care of themselves, whether it is old age and they just simply don't have the energy and the bandwidth to do it anymore, or maybe, again, there's been some physical trauma or mental, whatever it may be, right? There's some where I still look at it and I say, burnout, taking 3 years off for burnout sounds a little suspicious to me. But then again, I was the dude when I used to chief on the loud pack. I got my cannabis, I guess, is it a license? My cannabis card. That's what it was at the time. I got my cannabis card by saying that I had insomnia, just like 80% of the other people who came in there purporting to have insomnia. So I get it. You're going to use what you essentially have. That's the lowest barrier of entry. But when it comes to this idea that I should be able to, get my needs met by everybody else and I am owed that, that is such a dangerous thing, not just for the one who has to pay, but also for the one who thinks they're getting away with something. Like some folks believe that living on welfare is a finesse. Like they believe that they are the one who is actually benefiting. Now, yes, in the short term, absolutely. You get a check, you're able to do nothing or something for nothing, a whole lot of something for a very little bit of something, right? You contribute little to nothing to society and you get massive rewards from it in the short term. In the long term, it actually becomes your own self-imposed prison. You become a slave to your own lifestyle, right? If you want to see the type of system that easily perpetuates poverty, it is the welfare state. I'm not saying just welfare reform or, these social programs necessarily in and of themselves, but I'm saying the mentality an individual has to have in order for them to see this as a lifelong solution for their life. These are the babies that are raised on WIC and continue to raise their own children on the very same thing. You need food stamps throughout your entire life. So you never look to actually create any level of financial stability within your own respect. Therefore, you never gain or build that respect for self. You never get to a place where you can actually see yourself as somebody who is able to sustain. You are a dependent. You are no different than a child. You are just simply in an adult body. That is the only difference between you and the adolescent or the toddler that may or may not be in your home, right? You and your child are the same because you both rely on somebody to take care of you. It just so happens that they have the valid excuse when more than likely you do not. The handouts are no good for anybody, even individuals who are quote unquote disabled physically or mentally. One of the best things you can do for an individual's self-esteem is to give them some level of responsibility, right? When you are raising up a kid, you give them responsibility not as a punishment, but as a reward. It is a way for them to gain autonomy, to gain freedom, to have personal agency. This is a gift to that child. But I guess we've created a social norm where just getting something for nothing is seen as a positive thing, right? You think you got away with it. Oh, I can't believe that dummy right there gave me something for nothing. Well, in the long term, you as the person who is living off of handouts becomes the dummy because you are forever reliant on these people, right? Even if you are finding yourself frustrated in, let's say, a 9-to-5, etc., there was a trade-off for your own autonomy. Like, I get this much personal agency and I trade in this much in order to get that quote unquote guaranteed paycheck, right? Entrepreneurship is very risky. It can be fear inducing, but it's also the most rewarding because you are basically determining. Now that means you may get nothing or you may get a whole lot of something, right? I may put this video out and 5 people watch it. If not, nobody watches it. That is a possibility. There's also a possibility that thousands, tens of thousands, or millions of people see it. Also a possibility. But at the very least, I have the control as far as, at least what I get out of it, right? I'm not dependent upon somebody else. And so there's a level of fulfillment and there's a level of freedom that comes from that. There's a level of personal agency that I have control over my own career, my own destiny, therefore my own overall life. And that's what is stripped away from the individual who is reliant upon a system outside of themselves. When you cling onto the welfare system, you are a welfare queen or a welfare king, you are forever reliant upon the government, which is nothing more than the taxpayer dollar. And as soon as a different decision is made, your life is going to be greatly affected. I hear all this crying about Trump is going to get rid of this, Trump's going to get rid of that. I say, you know what? If he does get rid of some of these programs for certain types of individuals who are supposed to be out there contributing and being productive anyway, it's going to be the best thing that ever happened to you. I guarantee it. Not in the short term. Again, short term, you were gaining something, right? You gain that little check and you spent that on God knows whatever. But in the long term, you're going to find yourself having to be self-sustaining. You're going to find yourself having to be an ingenuitive type of person, or having some level of ingenuity. You're going to find yourself becoming a producer. When I figured out that I could not be in a 9 to 5, I had to build my own. I had to figure it out. And the level of confidence and certainty I have within myself is unmatched because of the last 10 years of, education that I've given myself through failing and, picking back up, failing, picking it back up, doing something different, doing something, until I finally found what was mine and I capitalized on that. There is no greater feeling than to know that I can be at zero and a few months later, I can be all the way up. A few years later, I'm all the way up. Nothing can stop me. There is no more satisfying feeling than knowing that I have it within me to make things happen. But if I relied upon the handouts, and there were times, again, I needed something. There was a series of months where I was on food stamps. And I used the food stamps for real. As soon as I had just enough money, not even as much money as I had on a food stamp card, just when I had enough money to buy my own groceries, that's exactly what I did. I cut them food stamps off and I said, okay, because I take pride in being able to buy my own. Some people can't even understand that. They think that's madness. They're looking at us like we're crazy. Why would you go to work when you can just finesse the system and get a handout? Because we got too much dignity for that. There are folks in the old school who saw the welfare system as embarrassing. They would never. Are you kidding me? Now, I know we po, or I know we broke, but we're definitely not going to get on the welfare system. We're going to make things happen. We're going to build for ourselves. We're going to grow the food. We're going to, sew the clothes, whatever is necessary in order for us to get up, in order for us to build something within our own that we have ownership of. You will never own that check you get from the government. And as soon as they cut it off, you're done. You're finished. You're cooked. Finito. But if you know you can build your own, it don't matter where your government goes. It don't matter where you go in the world. You're always going to figure it out. And there's no greater confidence in the world than knowing that I can do it. I can figure it out. To get a handout or a hand up is a very different situation. Sometimes you need somebody to uplift you. But when you have somebody like this, you can't even be grateful for it. That's why you got people when they finally become successful and they're giving money to loved ones. Sometimes the loved ones become even more resentful, right? They feel some type of way. Oh, you think you somebody. Oh, you think you better than somebody. Oh, so you think now because you got some money, and tell them no. God forbid you tell them no. See what type of response you're going to get from these individuals. As soon as you cut them off from your handout, now you become the enemy. Right? Big Daddy government is, oh, we love you, Big Daddy government. We love you, Big Daddy government. As soon as you cut that check off, oh, you white devil, you. We got to get to a place in our lives. I'm not talking race-based. I'm not talking about none of that. I'm talking about just at an individual level to know that we can make things happen if we need to. We have that in us. If you believe that we are created by the Most High, by a divine presence, right? If you believe that genuinely and that this presence is over your life, why the hell would you think that you need everything and everybody else to make sure that your life continues to move forward? How could you think so little of yourself? The people who are crying out, oh, well, people of color are not going to be able to take care of themselves if these programs are gone. Are you kidding? So what do you think of quote unquote people of color? How little do you think of these individuals? How little do you see me? What do you truly feel about me if you think that I can't make it without somebody giving me something as opposed to me earning it? I never asked you to view a damn thing. Please come, please tap in, please send that donation. No, if you choose to, that's a beautiful thing because you saw value in what I am producing. But don't ever get it twisted. You don't owe me a damn thing and neither do I owe you a damn thing. I choose to show up and so do you. And that's a beautiful transaction that we have. That's the free market of ideas that are flowing here. The free market of capital that flows as a byproduct of the value that you perceive that I'm giving. That's how that works. And to that, I know that I can always pick up and build something. And there's no greater feeling in the world than knowing that I have the power to do exactly that.
Used to be afraid of the dark, a place unknown like a heart in their heart. I used to see my life in the bar. Now the kids unchained, every shackle is lost. 2 steps in the moonlight, 2 step in the daytime. You just know when it feel right. You got a feeling the time's night. See you through those shades that I just threw on. Through my lenses, you just can't do no wrong. I fell in love with myself again. I fell in love with myself. I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 3, 6, 5, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up, you know them constellations. Constantly gazing like house of praises, you get to praising. They see your light shine, that's why they so frustrated. Even the sofa in Nova Scotia will win the bagels. I couldn't get them ease on the grease, why they burning up. Money growing trees, feel a breeze, still you show.